Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it's been quite the entertaining Premier League run. I'm not going to lie. So far, it's been very, very entertaining. Arsenal, I don't think, James, you'll mind me saying, have come out of absolutely nowhere in terms of this title race, and have really kind of put their foot down and made a battle of it here when we were expecting other teams maybe to be battling it out. But it does feel like we're reaching a tipping point, or at least the most important match of the season so far. Arsenal at home, but Manchester City coming to town. I'll just let you guys know the state of the table at the moment. So Arsenal have played 21 games, so there's still game in hand there. 51 points. Man City have played 22 games, 48 points. For you mathematicians out there, 51 minus 48, that's 3 points. So this Wednesday, if Manchester City can pull off this game, they're level on points. Again, Arsenal have a game in hand. That's very important to mention, but a game in hand does not mean an automatic 3 points. I think a lot of people get into this headspace of, oh, we got games in hand, we'll win all those. It's like, it's not usually the way it goes. Why we're here talking about it, we're just going to give a quick preview of the game, and we have the best candidate to talk to about this. James, Arsenal fan, obviously. How are you feeling coming into this game? It is at the Emirates. Erling Haaland taken off at half-time over the course of the weekend. Arsenal not playing great compared to what we've seen so far. I just want to ask you where your head's at and how you see this one shaking out.
I would feel a lot more confidence if we would have won our last two games against Brentford and Everton, but unfortunately, we lost and drew, dropping 5 points, and like you add that to the points total right now. That's an 8 point gap right there, and it's almost like we're going to the game with a lot of confidence. But the fact we haven't won in our last three has me a little bit on edge, and City just slowly but surely gaining a bit of momentum. Yes, the stuff has happened with them, but with the financial fair play, but I think that that's something that can work in their favor going into this title race. It's almost like a them against us type of scenario. It's us against the world. So it's a weird one. But the first thing I just want to point out here is just the history in the past few years. Unfortunately for Arsenal fans, only in the Premier League, because we have beaten them in like the FA Cup twice. But Arsenal haven't beaten Man City in the Premier League since 2015, Jack.
Right.
We haven't gotten a point against City in the Premier League since 2007. Our last 8 matches or 10 matches against Guardiola all been losses. I think we've only scored twice. Man City have dominated this fixture under Guardiola. Guardiola is unbeaten against Arsenal in the Premier League. So
can I throw an insane stat at you? This is insane. When I read this, I just thought I'd bring. It's a bit stupid, but I think you'll just find it insane. City, of the last 22 games that have been played on a Wednesday, have won all 22 of their last games that have fallen on a Wednesday. It's the longest winning run on a specific day in the history of the Premier League as a competition.
Okay, because I was going to say, what about Champions League?
Now, Wednesday is not a Premier League day. If they'd won every Saturday for or Sunday, right? Wednesday is a bit of a weird day. I'm just saying the longest day winning streak in history is Manchester City on a Wednesday. So that's
how many how many matches is it?
It's 22.
Okay, because James lost it at 21.
It's not unbeaten. They've won all 22 that have fallen on a Wednesday.
Okay, Jack. Well, Arsenal just gonna show up like Brock Lesnar, at WrestleMania. Do their thing. But again, like me looking at the match, like you talk about styles and like two styles who are very, very similar. My question is how Arsenal are going to approach it from the point of view, are we going to take the game right to Manchester City like we did last time we played them? Because people don't forget the last time they came to the Emirates, Jack, for 60 odd minutes we dominated a game of football and could have been a few more ahead. City get the penalty and then the red card, we kind of collapse and Roger gets the last minute winner. But Arsenal showed me that we can compete with Manchester City. I'm going to look at certain duels, for instance, right now with the issue with João Cancelo going out. How are they going to match up to me in the wide area? Because I look at somebody like Kyle Walker, who I believe is one of the best players, one of the best right backs in the world for the last decade or so. phone's kind of drop a little bit. How comfortable is Nathan Ake? Yeah, going against Bukayo Saka. Yes, he did well in the FA Cup game, but can he be able to outlast a player like Bukayo Saka? And then you flip on the other hand, of course, you talk about what's going to go on with Erling Haaland, but I think like with Arsenal's high line, if Manchester City can be a bit more direct and hit him over the top like Jack, his pace is frightening. He's strong as an ox, and you know he can make, to me, a big difference. The biggest factor you take about Erling Haaland, to me, the game changer and the game winner of this game, and he's been like that for many years going against Arsenal, is Kevin De Bruyne.
Right.
He seems to have a weird thing when he plays against Arsenal, Jack. When he shows up, it's curtains. I'm not as scared of Erling Haaland compared to what Kevin De Bruyne can do. From the point of view, him just carrying the ball, set pieces, you know, balls. I'm thinking about the balls from wide area. He is the biggest difference. If we can neutralize him, I think we have a great chance of competing and beating Manchester City. And Jack, secondly, how is Pep Guardiola going to approach this?
Well, I was going to ask you about this, and also a couple of mind games coming through here as well, because obviously you mentioned it briefly, and I want to hold where you were saying about Pep's approach, because I want to get back to that straight away. But this stuff with Erling Haaland taken off at half-time, doubtful for Wednesday. Is this, apparently it's just a knock. So is this mind games? Because I don't hear any soft tissue stuff going on. I don't hear any head injury stuff. To me, this could very, very easily be, we'll have them think that Erling might not play, and then we'll stick him into the lineup, blah, blah, blah.
You know what?
I want to get back to your thing, though, about how does Pep approach this, though. But yeah, sorry.
You mentioned that too, because he didn't take the penalty. People think, oh, maybe he is hurt. He'll be there at Manchester City for sure. But right. I think the odd thing of how Manchester United, Man City set up against Villa was very interesting. They went for a back three with no real left back there. You know, they got Laporte back. They had Diaz back. I think the first time they played together in a while. You had Kyle Walker there, but it's almost like Bernardo Silva dropping into that area on the left-hand side. And to me, if Bernardo Silva's going to play there, yeah, against a player like Bukayo Saka, I'll take that every day of the week. City are going to flood the area. You got the Partey, Rodri type of debate you want to have. Of course, I talk about Kevin De Bruyne and what he can do, but what's going to happen with Ilkay Gundogan? How is he going to approach that there? And also, to me, in the wide areas, it seems like he's settled with this Jack Grealish, Riyad Mahrez thing, where I'm not sure if those two have the right balance to make Manchester City effective going forward.
And James, I'm not scared. But I'm not scared of that either. Like, I'm really not. Like, we have to think about, I mean, Riyad Mahrez is a nice player. The guy we saw at Leicester going to Man City, he's been really good, right? But I don't know if Riyad Mahrez is great. Jack Grealish as well, the guy we saw at Villa, right? Yeah, good, okay, kind of exciting. But he's come to Man City. Has Jack Grealish been great and like really effective? I mean, I think he's doing what he's being asked to execute, which kind of blurs the lines a little bit. But I was way more scared for Man City teams in the past out wide than I am now. It's kind of tame right now.
100%, like 100%. The one thing I would say about Riyad Mahrez is that, in my opinion, he's probably been City's second best player this season overall. Like, to me, what he's been able to do, he's come to life. But based on the other side, Jack, you're right. I'm not really that scared of what Jack Grealish can do. I do think Ben White has the ability to hold him. But my thing is, this is like, when Arsenal are in possession, is Zinchenko going to take the chance of being this inverted fullback? Because you know what's going to happen. Manchester City, the two players are going to be out wide, and if Zinchenko does decide to come in, if that ball does turn over, the space for Riyad Mahrez to go into, you know, what's like, to me, how is he going to approach that sort of style there? But overall, I know what Arsenal's going to bring to the table. I'm not sure what Manchester City is going to bring, and that kind of worries me.
But do you know what Arsenal are going to bring to the table?
100%.
Because and here's my point. Arsenal, this whole year, there's been a certain level, in my opinion, like, and again, you may disagree, but there's been a certain level of, like, we're outperforming what we should be doing. But I'm not going to stop and think about it. I'm just going to keep going. I'm not scared about going to the Etihad. I'm not scared about going to Anfield. I'm not scared about going to Old Trafford. I'm not scared. I'm just going to go. I don't care. I'm just going to go. I'm not going to overthink what's happening and why we're doing well. I'm just going to keep doing it. It concerns me a little bit. I don't get the same vibe over the last couple of weeks that has been the case for whatever reason. And what I'm wondering is their mindset going to be, we're at home, we're Arsenal, we're top of the league, let's go for it? Or is there going to be a, man, you know what, we've not been doing so well recently, maybe we should start thinking about this and thinking about that? Because I think the Arsenal team this year has been good off the back of the fact that they're not doing much thinking. They're doing, let's do what our boss tells us to do because we trust him, and let's just go and execute, play with confidence and do our thing. I don't know if they're going to approach this game in the same way. Would you disagree with that?
I look at, for me, I look the past few games, Jack. Arsenal in the last 6 or 7 games have been unchanged. You know, the fact that you look the depth in the team is not like Manchester City. While you look at Manchester City on like the other hand, you look at the Tottenham game to the Villa game. Kevin De Bruyne didn't play. Diaz didn't play. I'm not sure if Laporte played. Gundogan didn't play, and now you look at it right now. He's brought all them players back for the game against Aston Villa, and like we do know this season, Guardiola, if you ask him, I don't think he knows his best team.
No,
you know,
he definitely
just chops and changes, and I don't even think he knows his best formation, because the fact that he went 3 at the back against Villa, is he going to do the exact same approach, or like is he going to go for his normal approach or over 4-3-3? It's a bit odd. If
you can guarantee like 3, maybe 4 players that you know, like, oh, he loves them. But apart from that, the vast majority of the team, you could be like, I wouldn't be surprised if he plays here, or if he's in the team but in a different position, or like you said, I agree.
Yeah, the only thing that to me will stay the same in Manchester City in my eyes is the wide players.
Right.
So that's Mahrez and Grealish. The rest of it, we don't know what could happen. You know, the fact that it was Julian Alvarez that started against Tottenham, could he be a surprise starter in the game? It's right. Just very, very odd to work out to me how the game's gonna look at. But Jack, I won't be surprised if this is a 1-0 type of game. You look at Manchester City and you look at Arsenal. We don't both teams don't have been on the crazy scoring spree. You look at some of the closest games this season. Spurs 1-0, Chelsea 1-0, Liverpool 1-0. These are all very, very tight games for Manchester City. So I see this just being a tight affair, maybe 1 goal settling it.
I tell you why I think it could be. I'm not saying it won't be a 1-0 type game, but the reason why I think it might be a bit crazy, the game is going to feel different. It's going to and it's at James. The fans will not let this be a calm, nice, relaxed, cagey affair. This is going to be like, you know, the fans will be up for this one because James,
the fans for this one, man.
But let's be honest, okay, you lose the game, right? You got a game in hand. Let's say you win it, 3 points. Destiny's in your own hands, blah, 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 whatever. If you win the game and you've got a game in hand, I mean, we're talking about that gap being returned to exactly where we want it to the levels of where you kind of want it to be. So I think that the Arsenal fans will realise the gravity of the game and the importance of the game. This isn't just early season Man City coming to town. Like, this is kind of like, I mean, we may well look back on this as the most important game of the season.
100%, because I look at it from this point of view, Jack. If Arsenal win, I don't think it still changes much for Manchester City, because it's still City and people still believe that, listen, they can do what they do. But if Arsenal lose this game, I think, in my opinion, the title race is over, because you cannot tell me that a team can go from being that far ahead to then losing it, and like City being ahead on goal difference. And the fact of the matter is that you would have dropped 4 games in a row. City, Everton, Brentford, and now City again. And for a team with, like, Jack, let's be truthfully honest, a team by Arsenal, you look at Mikel Arteta's history over the past few years at Arsenal. We crumbled against Villarreal. We crumbled last year, going in for the run-in for the top 4. So if we don't win this, I won't be surprised if we just see a bit of a downfall.
James, it's so funny you said that. So I was watching the Super Bowl last night at the pub, and I was with an Arsenal fan, also called James, funnily enough. And I was talking to him, and look, he said, yeah, look, I still think we're going to finish second. I said, mate, I think if you're not finishing first, I think it's 3rd or 4th for you. Seriously, because like you said, I think there's a certain level of, we're either winning this league or we're going to just do enough to make top four, because we can't fall that far away. I think second, in a weird way, is kind of like an unachievable position in terms of the mental headspace of an Arsenal player. Right, James, just to finish this one off, I'm going to pretend like we're doing our game week predictions here. So Arsenal, Man City coming to town. I will go first. I like the way that the central defenders would match up with Erling Haaland. I think physically speaking, you've got the likes of, Saliba, Gabriel kind of thing. I can't think of two better players really in the Premier League in terms of matching up with Erling Haaland. Arsenal have a point to prove. I'm not super convinced by City and what's going on there at the moment. I think there's stuff going under the water. There's some, currents going under the water there that we may not see. That's probably been spurred on by João Cancelo leaving, and then also the financial implications and stuff. Arsenal are going to be super, super up for this game, and I think that they will be able to bounce back. So I'm going to say that Arsenal do actually pick up a victory here, and that 22 Wednesday win streak that Manchester City have got does come to an end. I'm going to say, though, 2-1. I do think it will be relatively close, but it's just the way I can see it. Because, James, like I said, I can't see the fans not having a major impact on this game. I just can't. This is not going to be a composed, relaxed kind of, let's feel each other out and see how we're doing. Tackles going in. I think this could be a big one.
Yeah, you're right. It can be a big one, but just basing it on how Man City performed in the big game this season, it hasn't been swashbuckling and stuff overall, but they found a way to win because they are champions. Recently, Jack, I think we've scored once in our last 3 games. I'm going to say, unfortunately, and I pray to God I'm wrong, 1-0 City.
Ah, man, that's rough. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a really, really, really exciting game on Wednesday. I know we've got Champions League fixtures, but I'm telling you right now, maybe I'll put up a couple of different screens, but if push comes to shove, I'm watching Arsenal versus Manchester City on Wednesday. Let us know what you think is going to happen in terms of the game itself. Obviously, lots and lots of factors here. The Pep Arteta factor. Haaland, will he, won't he play? Arsenal not coming into the game that great, but it is at home. If they win, tied on points, lots of storylines, lots of talking points. Let us know what you think. Drop a like on the video if you like what you've seen. Hit subscribe as well if you're not. James, anything else from you?
Like, share, and subscribe. Come on, Arsenal. We'll see you guys next time.